14 Puerto Ricans who accepted President Clinton's controversial gift of clemency. 11 of them, who describe themselves as nationalists, some others describe them as terrorists, were released from federal prisons around the country.
Hillary's biggest problem running for the Senate was that she wasn't a New Yorker. And how is she going to appeal to the specific ethnic groups that make up the New York State electorate? So, in September 1999, right in the middle of her Senate campaign, she was approached by City Councilman Jose Rivera, who really is a spokesman for the Hispanic community in New York, who gave her a packet urging the pardoning of the FALN terrorists. And included in the packet was a letter to Hillary asking her to use her influence on her husband to get these pardons granted. And 2 days later, they were.
Freedom came today.
It made no sense. Not one of the incarcerated FALN terrorists had requested clemency or had expressed any remorse. In fact, prior to that action, the Clinton administration had granted clemency in just 3 cases out of over 3,000 applications, according to the Office of the Pardon Attorney at the Justice Department.
It was putting a political agenda of the Clintons.
These are 2 of the members making a bomb. This is an official FBI tape of 2 of these people in one of their safe houses. What the president is basically saying is that it's his decision, and as far as the Congress and the American people are concerned, it's none of their business. The president has taken members of a terrorist organization who committed very serious crimes and set them free. I think he has a moral...
Also the place where Frank Connor, my father, was murdered in 1975.
The senseless bombing had been perpetrated by what was arguably the most active terrorist organization in U.S. history, the FALN. But in 1970...
missiles out of it. So you have victims that have pieces of glassware, pieces of silverware pushed into their bodies as a result of the blast. The communique that they left said that they were trying to kill capitalist, imperialist pigs in Francis Tavern.
It was a typical FALN operation, one of over 130 bombings between 1974 and 1983. But on
That's simply not the fact. In this case, these people were convicted of planting 36 bombs in Chicago. If that's nonviolence, then Mr. Berger's dictionary is a little bit different than mine is. The Department of Justice received a memo from the FBI saying that under no circumstances should these people be released. The President of the United States, who had access to all this information, ignored the facts of the matter. You have to ask yourself, who benefited from this besides the terrorists themselves? It's my view that have concluded the only other person that could have benefited from this was Hillary Clinton.
The Senate, on a 95-2 vote, laid FALN clemency. Candidate Clinton claims she is the most experienced. Her husband claimed she was intimately involved in his administration. And yet, Hillary said publicly she had, quote, no involvement in or prior knowledge of the decision.
Obviously, she knew about it. Obviously, she asked Bill to do the pardons. And obviously, when she says she knows nothing about it, she's not telling the truth.
most commutations in White House history. He pardoned 64 people yesterday. Was pardoned.
Chelsea Manning was due for release in the year 2045. A military judge had sentenced Manning to 35 years in prison for espionage. The former intelligence analyst passed.
Officials. Manning's 2010 leak of secret materials is one of the biggest breaches in U.S. history. In her clemency application, Manning said, "I have never made any excuses for what I did." At the time of the leak, the White House said the disclosures put American lives at risk. Its decision outrageous. Senator John McCain called it a grave mistake and said Manning's dishonor will last forever. Meantime,
And now President Obama's decision to commute the sentence of convicted FALN leader Oscar Lopez Rivera, who has been serving a 70-year prison term, is sparking outrage from the FALN's victims.
The enemies of our country are being rewarded and treated as if they're heroes. And what will we hear?
More than 70 bombings in the 1970s and 80s for which the FALN took credit. In 1981, Lopez Rivera was convicted of seditious conspiracy to overthrow the U.S. government. He became a cause célèbre among supporters who call him a freedom fighter imprisoned for his political beliefs.
We're terrorists.
The president's move cuts Lopez Rivera's sentence short by 34 years. He will walk out of the Terre Haute, Indiana federal prison. But
yeah, you are my African queen. Ooh, Lord, just like the sun, light up the earth, you light up my life. The only one I ever see with a smile so bright.
So, Jeff, obviously the president's prerogative. What do you make of it, though?
Well, you know, it's the three words that sum up the Trump presidency: shocking but not surprising. I guess that's 4 words. And, you know, this is the most corrupt and cronyistic act in perhaps all of recent history. You know,
Bullshit.
but our standards have sunk so low that the president could reach out to someone who is convicted of a crime that, you know, everyone who's convicted of that crime goes to prison. He's sentenced to 40 months. He's going to do no time for the only reason that he's the president's friend. That is not how the American judicial system is supposed to work, and it is not how it has worked historically, even with friends of the president who get arrested.
Bullshit. 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 Bullshit.